is fundamentally a human rights issue that we're hearing today in City Hall. It's one that ripples through all of our communities and impacts us very deeply at the core. When families are ripped apart, it is a violent act. When children have their parents taken away from them, that too is a violent act. When we incarcerate without mercy for our youngest and most vulnerable juveniles, that too is a violent act.
The Fix 96 campaign is an effort to undo and dismantle a moment in time. 20 years ago, this country built the cages we live in today, and in the presence of the living and the dead and the many absent witnesses who we hold in our testimonies here today, we are calling for local and national Fix 96 support to repeal the 1996 legislation that has dominated the last 20 years of local policies and national legislation.
These laws were passed during a time when the war on drugs, the war on crime, and the war on terror converged and formed the perfect political scapegoat, the criminal alien.
So this created a greatly expanded class of immigrants subject to mandatory deportation, at the same time eliminating the discretion of immigration judges to weigh the equities in that person's life. That conviction trumps every other factor.
My daughter don't have no parents because her mom recently passed away. I need my daughter to see me because she has nobody. I can't even imagine what she's going through right now. So I'm in a situation where I can't do that because I'm here in Cambodia.
I feel like it's a dream that one day I can wake up and I get an email or someone give me a call and said, you're allowed back to go home. You're allowed to go back home. You're allowed to go back with your children.
And now I'm back in Cambodia and I left a daughter behind. She'll be six years old, and on the 21st of this month.
I believe that everybody is capable of changing, because I did it. And this is stuff that I want to give back to my Philadelphians youth, because I know what they're going through, and if they see the change in me, hopefully it motivates them to do the same. Everyone made mistakes. We're all human. But it takes another human to give another person a second chance. And that's all we're asking, for a second chance.
We know that violence and harm happens in our communities every day. As Cambodian refugees, we know very deeply the impacts of violence. We also know deeply the system that creates situations for us to cause harm to each other.
So deportation is not the system that stands on its own. It is an extension of mass incarceration. It is an extension of poverty.
It is calculated and systemic. It shares its roots with the same systems that force our black brothers and sisters to scream out that their lives matter.
Black immigrants make up only 7% of the immigrant population, but over 21% of those deported because of contact with the criminal justice system.
My name is Francis Toba. I am 22 years old, and I'm currently being detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement here at York County Prison. Prison is the home of shattered dreams, and the criminal justice system is one big corruption. If I had been tried as a juvenile, I would not be classified as deportable today. This is akin to torture.
We need to come up with a better solution than to ship our young people who paid their debt to society back to somewhere they have not been since they were a child.
This notion that the deportation machine deports criminals, and that is inaccurate. It deports people that weren't born here, that are not citizens.
ខ្ញុំមិនបានពាក្យអ្វីនិយាយកើតដែលកូនត្រូវបានចេញគេបណ្ដេញចេញពីប្រទេសដូចជាកាបិតកាត់បេះដូងរបស់ខ្ញុំ
My name is Chen Dang. My family come here because we have nothing to eat in Cambodia because of the war. I made a home here, and when my son made a mistake, he paid for it. But then you also rip him apart from me. This law reminds me of the Khmer Rouge law. I would rather be deported to Cambodia if my son can come back.
ខ្ញុំបាននឹករលឹកកូនខ្ញុំទៅបានចំនួន3ឆ្នាំហើយខ្ញុំចង់បានកូនខ្ញុំត្រឡប់មកវិញព្រោះខ្ញុំមានកូនតែមួយហ្នឹងឯង
When one family lives with deportation, it's impact the entire community. Your suffering become my suffering become your suffering.
Could I just acknowledge the family members?
I'm here today because the immigration laws of 1996 are, as we have seen over the past 2 hours, quite clearly unjust, forcing people to be punished over and over, often retroactively, in completely unfair ways.
To me, it seems almost like double jeopardy perspective, where you're sentencing someone for an offense twice, even though they've served their debt to society. This is definitely an indictment of our immigration laws in this country.
Enable them to become citizens easier so that we could then go forward and they be American citizens and they would have the same rights as everybody else. And then this issue would go away.
We heard your stories. We are committed to standing with you. Councilwoman Blackwell and I are committed to sponsoring, along with any of our council colleagues, a resolution calling upon the U.S. government to repeal the 1996 laws. And we will take this fight and your voices with us to Washington, D.C. if necessary. So thank you.
We just want to thank all you, Philadelphia. We love you all the way from Cambodia.